I worked EMS in a small town for quite some time, population a few thousand at most. One stoplight, one diner that turned into a bar after dark, in a municipal building that had been repurposed so many times that nobody could give you a straight answer on what it was originally. At the time we were there, it served 3 roles at once. The front half was a public library. Attached to that was the police department, newer addition, but still sharing walls. On the far end was a volunteer fire station, no full-time crew, just a bay for the truck and a place to stage up equipment. Before all of that, it had been a church. That part was consistent no matter who you asked, late 1800s from what I was told at least. The building wasn't large, but it was dense with history, renovations layered over old construction, stairwells that didn't quite line up, hallways that ended where you wouldn't expect them to. It felt like multiple structures forced into one footprint, and that's exactly what it was. Living rule will do it to you. Certain needs and services have to be met, but space is very limited, so spaces become shared. Rural communities will put up a 5x5 shed with a hinged door. Call it the county hospital if they have to. Our ambulance was parked in the fire bay, but our bunk room was nowhere near it. To get there, you'd have to step out of the apparatus bay, walk a narrow hallway, go down a short staircase and cut through the library floor, then take another set of stairs into the basement. At the bottom, there were 2 doors. Left side was ours, 2 bunks, a small desk, and a locker. Right side led directly outside. That door opened up into a cemetery. No fence, no real boundary, just grass and headstones starting a few yards from the threshold. The oldest markers were worn down to the point of being unreadable, but still a few had some dates on them, early 1800s, and I remember one clearly saying 1820. My partner loved to take his smoke breaks out there. He treated it like a sketch comedy bit. Every time he'd step out, he'd say, "Hey, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends." Same line every shift. Said it loud enough to echo down the stairwell. Say it loud enough to wake the dead, I used to think. I didn't go out there unless I had to. Inside the building, things didn't sit right, not even during the day, and at night, it was far worse. The library lights would flicker without some kind of pattern. Not full outage, just brief dips like a kid playing with a dimmer knob. Doors wouldn't latch properly. You'd close one, walk 10 feet, hear it open up again behind you. Air pressure could explain some of it, sure, but not all of it. Sometimes you'd hear it click open when nothing else had moved. This happened the most to me when I was laying in bed alone. The most consistent thing, though, was the noise overhead. Heavy footsteps, not constant, but you'd hear them off and on. A few steps, pause, then a few more. Enough weight behind them to be distinct from settling or pipes. And it always sounded like it was directly above wherever you were standing in the moment. We didn't have anybody upstairs at night. The library was closed. The police side had its own entrance and floors. We checked it, and it was always empty. I guess you just kind of get used to ignoring things like that when you're in EMS. You categorize it as an unsolvable problem, move on to something that's actually worth your attention. But the environment does bleed into your work if there's long enough to. In the few months that I worked that assignment, I responded to 2 confirmed hangings. Both came in as welfare checks. Family couldn't make contact, requested somebody to go out and take a look themselves. The first was a farmhouse about 20 minutes outside of town. Dirt road access, no visible neighbors, property mostly overgrown. It didn't look abandoned, but it wasn't maintained either. We made entry through an unlocked door. The interior was quiet, no movement, no active hazards, and we cleared the room by room until we found access to the basement. It was a dirt floor space, no finished walls, just exposed framing and stone. Very limited lighting, single bulb overhead. And that's where we found her. Elderly female suspended from a ceiling beam. Partial decomp had not set in yet, but there was clear evidence that she'd been there for some time. She was dressed in what appeared to be a wedding dress, aged fabric, discolored, but still intact. There was some slight movement when we entered the room. Not active, just residual sway, like from the air displacement when we opened up the basement door. We confirmed no signs of life. Rigor was present, skin temperature was consistent with extended downtime. The rest of the call was procedural. Scene secured, law enforcement notified, coroner requested. What stuck with me though wasn't the method. That happens in this line of work. It's where she did it. The basement didn't feel lived in. No recent storage, no footprints in the dirt except our own. The beam that she used looked older than the house itself, like it had been part of some kind of earlier structure. It gave the impression that the event hadn't interrupted anything. She wanted to do this out of her own way in her own living space. It reminded me of an old dog going under the house just to die alone. That second call was similar in classification. Different layout, another remote residence, another welfare check, another prolonged downtime before discovery. By that point, the pattern had already started forming in my head, even if I didn't articulate it. You spend your night stationed in a building that used to be a church, sleeping below a library, next to a cemetery that predates most of the town. Then you respond to calls where people isolate themselves, choose enclosed, forgotten spaces, and end their lives in places that feel disconnected from everything else. Of course, there's no direct link, nothing you can actually document or present as any kind of evidence, but the overlap will still sit with you. After a few months, I ended up transferring out. Better call volume, better coverage area. At least that's what I told other people. I don't miss that building. I just had to get away from it. And I don't miss walking through the library at 2 a.m. with the lights dipping overhead and footsteps pacing all around me, knowing there wasn't supposed to be anybody else there.